physically, emotionally, or otherwise. My innate desire is to protect myself from what I perceive to be a dangerous situation. But if it's not, I'm doing damage.
Right.
So I have to pause to assess whether or not the threat I perceive is actually real.
At all. Yeah, right, yeah.
And then I can decide if it is, do what you gotta do.
Yeah, right.
If it's not, what can I make a new choice?
And
this is how I grow out of the old pattern. Because if I just do when I innately desire that automatic thing, that trigger that I just want to do, how I always do in these situations, when I'm in these situations, because this is what I've always done, and I have survived 100% of those situations, which is why I'm still sitting here. So I'm going to trust the thing that I've always done. Okay. I innately desire to do this, but if I want to grow and break this pattern that I'm acknowledging is no longer serving me, I have to be able to pause, assess the situation, evaluate and determine whether or not this thing that I perceive to be a threat to me is an actual threat to me. And if I determine that it's not, based on my judgment and applying my wise brain, this is now bringing, if we're going back to the neuroscience, this is bringing in that prefrontal cortex, which we call the CEO of the brain. It's where executive function and decision making happens. If I don't go from the amygdala or go from the limbic system, which is the oldest part of the brain, which is the part of the brain that's wired to drive survival. If I don't move from there and I pause and I regulate my nervous system, this is where mindfulness and meditation becomes incredibly powerful. I'm tying it all together. I hope you're catching this. So if I don't act from the limbic system, which is wired for survival, and I regulate myself, take a couple deep breaths, take a step back, pause, which is what your wives were trying to do when they were like, I need a moment before we talk about this. If I step back and I say, let me look at this and assess all the pieces before I determine what's going on here and how I want to move forward, then I can call in my executive functioning brain, the part of my brain that is can make decisions with consequences in consideration, with logic in consideration, with all the other parts that are going to be impacted after I make the choice that I make right now.
Which is why the pause part is so important.
Which is because I want to consciously make the choice with the understanding that on the other side of this, there will be consequences. And I can either assess those consequences and consider them in the decision-making process, or I cannot and then deal with the consequence on the other side, which is largely going to mean probably trying to clean up a mess, right? So if I pause, I'm now bringing in the part of my brain that helps me to function according to my understanding, not my emotion. Okay? I feel what I feel. I don't have to act on it. Okay. When I bring that part of my brain in, now I am choosing to show up according to who I say I am, not just how I feel. Who am I? That's what integrity is. Am I acting according to who I say I am? Not just how I feel. Integrity is, am I aligned with who I say I am and the truth of that?
Oh, that's a deep one.
That's good.
And pausing allows us to access that, ask ourselves, and then choose accordingly. When we don't pause, and that is until we develop a practice where our automatic response is to then do the new thing that is more helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Understanding that even that is a rule that we're creating for the circumstances that we're in today. There might come a day when that rule is expiring and we need to check in and say, do I need to innately or intentionally deny what I innately desire in this moment, because I'm creating a rule for how to respond to this, and that rule works for this situation. That rule may not work. The rule that you have for the time you give your wife to process what she needs to process may not be the same rule that you have for the time that you give your homeboy.
Yeah.
You understand? So what happens is we try to make rules about a thing in a situation, and then we try to apply that rule to every context, and that's not how it works.
It's not.
That's not how it works. I'm not giving you the same kind of leeway that I'm giving over here. The same way I'm not giving a grown-up the same kind of leeway I'm giving a child. A child don't know better. Right. But you grown.
Yeah.
So even if I think you should, if you don't, now I have a decision to make about my relationship to you.
Wow.
The integrity is the thing, was when you don't align with what you say you are.
Yeah, if this is who I say I am, do I have to tell you that, or do you see that because that's how I show up? Right. People say all the time, I should have to tell you I'm a Christian. You should see, I shouldn't have to make that announcement.
Yeah.
In how I move through the world, you shouldn't be shocked when I say that I am.
Right.
When I finally do tell you, you shouldn't be shocked.
Right.
Because it should make sense because of how I move through the world.
Well, I'm an intellect. So, are you saying you're an intellect? Or are you?
Right.
Well, I'm this. When you have to
make that announcement.
What? I hate when people say I'm a real nigga. No, you ain't gotta go that deep.
No,
when people say that, I'm a real nigga. Like, why you announcing that?
That's a fact.
I know who my
because
real
I didn't
nigga
have to
is.
ask you that. If you moving like that, I'm gonna know that already.
Respectfully, Joy one of the realest niggas I know. I never had to say it.
Facts.
You ain't gotta say she ain't gotta
But
announce that.
also knew that. I knew that.
You didn't do that. Right?
And I ain't never had to say that. I
Right.
have never had to say that
Never
to
said that.
nobody. But I know what it is.
That's real talk.
And people who know me know what it is.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
that self-promoting, you're trying to convince yourself to be something you're not.
No, you're trying to convince other people to believe the lie because you don't want to do the work
Yeah,
to
that's-
actually be who you
that's
say
marketing.
you are.
That's marketing.
That's marketing. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to do
That's
the
marketing.
work, so you're going to try to
Hey,
be
yeah,
do this. Yeah. If I distract you, yeah. Da-da-da-da, do a real nigga shit. That ain't what's going on.
Oh,
That ain't what it is.
But that's so funny because I see that often. It happens so often
Facts.
of people doing that, and it's almost like I just sit back and just like, okay, I know. It's almost like I know what you're not.
Correct.
I know what you're not.
And so now, remember earlier I said I have a gift of hearing what's not being said?
Right.
Exactly. That's
Right.
exactly. The gift was not being said. We have this super chat?
Or seeing through what is being said, right? But
What?
that's because I observe.
Big Chef Super sent the super chat $10. Salute Rios, Lucc, and Dr. Joy. Every day is Frosted Flakes. Chef Super, never forget. That's what he said.
Shout out to
That's
you.
his way like say it's all good.
Right.
Every day.
Big
is
shout
Frosted
all up.
Facts. Every day is Frosted Flakes out
Chief
here.
Dawan Sosa, thank you for 499 super chat. Thank you for this episode. It really is a dope episode. Thank
You know
you
you ain't got
everybody
to
for
read the prices because
yeah. Thank you for
All right.
sending in the super chats. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely.
But I do
It's love.
there
It's
is
love for
something
sure.
that I do want to like touch base on because I'm at a place where I'm somewhat confused. I don't have enough knowledge in this area, right? I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
it's only two genders. It's male. And then,
No, that's what
Yo!
Trump says.
That's crazy.
Wait, I thought it was 22.
Why would you do
No,
that
baby.
to this man?
No, baby.
That's crazy.
Actually, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. Let's go. No, but our people, right? Like I say our people, but then I think like, is it community or is it culture, right? And we're in this place
Okay.
that where there's such a divide between what we think a relationship is or what relationships should be or what roles are.
Yeah.
And it's very televised and promoted right now.
as in like a loving couple.
Yeah, like
Okay.
couples, like
Okay.
relationships, like, oh, this is what a man's supposed to be. This is what a woman's supposed to be. Or this stuff. And it's like happening with us and it's being like so televised, so promoted,
Yeah.
and we're being so boisterous about it.
Yep.
And we're very opinionated about it.
Sure.
And I'm confused, like, is this us as our culture or is this a community thing? Is this like, what is this? Like, because I don't want to just say, oh, this is us culturally. We've been at this place and this and we're here and here.
okay. Mhm.
I want to say, I want to say, I don't know if it's true that it's circumstantial. So
And-
what our community is. And what
You're
we've
saying
been-
the conversation and the way it's being had
Yeah.
is
And-
okay.
and
I just want to
to add
clarify.
to that, I hate when people say, I never see white people having this conversation. Like you are privy to white people conversation all the time or their communities. That's a whole nother thing. But I totally understand what you're saying because I think that too. Like, is this what we're talking about right now, or is everybody? I don't hear everybody. I'm listening and well on functioning in my our people things, right?
Okay, right.
So I do want to know that also. That's a good question.
That's a great question. So two things are coming up. One, I love the point you made about like as if you're privy to white people's conversations all the time.
Right.
You're not. We the only people that don't gatekeep our culture. Another conversation for another day. But
Right. That's all this podcast right there.
that's yep. We'll see you next week.
Let's do it.
But
This is the best one. Go ahead.
like that's so there's that. We think we know what other people are doing or not doing. We don't.
Right.
The other side of that is if we are correct in that they're not having these conversations, it's because they were not ripped away from their traditions.
Let's go.
They were not ripped away from their understanding. We've always had to try to create our context inside of someone else's. And whenever you're doing that, going back to what I've been saying this whole time, when you expect somebody to fit their stuff inside of your story, it's going to be confusion every time. So now our culture, our understandings, the way we relate to one another, trying to fit that inside of a context that was never ours.
Right, that's a fact.
So we're confused, and we're publicly trying to work it through and figure it out.
Okay.
So that's what you're witnessing.
Yeah, that's what's going on right now.
That's what you're witnessing
taking place right now.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get into the meta of the conversation.
Yeah.
So what you're witnessing is us trying to figure out how to fit our own experience inside of a context that never belonged to us. Because even when there was a time when we tried to marry, we weren't allowed to. It was literally illegal.
Yeah.
This is where the whole jumping the broom and all that came from. We had to relegate ourselves to certain practices to signify that this is what we were doing because it was not legally recognized as that's what we're doing. So again, we're literally trying to fit our experience inside of a context that was designed to shut us out of it.
Exactly.
It was
This was never built
It was
for
an
us.
institution put into place to provide economics, the stability. We were never given access to economic. We were the economy.
Right. Right.
So in this country, marriage was an institution put into place to secure and perpetuate economic stability. We were not ever given access to that. It was never designed as something we were supposed to benefit from. So we're trying to fit our experience of being together and building together inside of a context that was never designed to hold what we have. So that's the first thing. So the second thing is now what you see in these conversations is us trying to work through that and figure out how to do it. Because the point is we love each other. We want each other. We just can't get on the same page about how to do it. That's why we out here hollering at each other about what we bring to the table and talking about stupid shit. So now here's what I love about what you said, because inside of that, because we're trying to fit our experience inside of a context, we're trying to universalize what it's supposed to be. Men are this and women are that. I don't give a shit what men are. I'm talking about me and you, sir.
Right.
So instead of me, this is now we're connecting the dots. Remember, we've been talking about I came into this with a whole checklist of what a marriage is supposed to be and what you need to be to fit inside my story of what this is supposed. Okay, this is where it starts. It starts with I think a man is this. So I came in with a checklist of what a man is, and now I'm measuring you against a checklist. As opposed to seeing you for who you are, understanding who I am, being clear about where I'm going, and seeing if what you bring complements so we can get on this journey together.
Right.
Because what I'm saying is I know who I am and I know where I'm going, and I know I want to go somewhere. I want somebody to go with me. We talk about go together. That's what we're doing. We go together.
Right.
Where are we going? We go together. So where are we going? That's what my mom used to do to me all the time. I'm like, we go together. They go together. Where they going?
Yeah, where they going? They go together.
Where they going?
So if we go together, where are we going? And if neither one of us has clarity about that, then how are we determining that we should be going together?
And why? Yeah, why are we going?
How are we determining that? If I don't know where I'm going, you don't know where you're going, but we saying we going together, how are we determining where we're going to end up?
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm sitting at the table. I'm sitting here across from you at the table, asking you what you bring to the table, and then trying to measure your answer against something that I thought I was supposed to already know when I came in here before I even met you. I ain't ever met you, and I already telling you what you're supposed to be and not supposed to be, and how you don't measure up to what that. That's crazy.
And not even taking into consideration your experiences in life.
And beyond that, so the joy, the beauty that you do bring, the jewels that you do bring, the opportunities that you are inviting me to grow and to have new experiences and